What's up, Achievers? Jason Pack here, and today we're going to be creating an intermediate/advanced strength workout. So it seemed like a lot of you really enjoyed the beginner workout that Lauren put together last week, but we also received a lot of questions on how to make it a little bit more advanced, a little bit more for those intermediate and advanced people. So what I'm doing today is I'm taking the same exact movement patterns, squatting, hinging, pushing, pulling, core work, and single leg work, and I'm gonna make it just a little bit more advanced today. Now it's gonna be a very similar format to the beginner workout. It's gonna be 2 different circuits of 3 exercises. Each circuit you'll go through about 3 to 4 times or so, and you'll move on to the next circuit. All right, so let's jump right into it. Here's day A. Exercise 1 in circuit number 1 is going to be a back squat, and we're going to have you perform anywhere from 5 to 8 repetitions on the squat. A lot of the exercises in the beginner program were more focused on higher reps, like 8 to 10 reps or so. Exercises like goblet squatting and kettlebell deadlifting are going to be a little bit less technically challenging than, let's say, a barbell back squat or a barbell deadlift. For that reason, we really want to keep the quality high, so we're going to keep the repetitions a little bit lower. So we really want you to focus on 5 to 8 repetitions or so, and really thinking about keeping the quality as high as possible. Exercise number 2 in circuit 1 is going to be a pull-up. You can use band assistance, or if you're strong enough to perform one without band assistance, you can feel free to do bodyweight ones as well. Again, we're going to focus on anywhere from 5 to 8 repetitions for your pull-ups. The most important thing with pull-ups is going to be stopping just a bit before failure. We don't want you to go all the way to failure and start to use random techniques like kicking your legs or shimmying up to the bar. Really do your best to stop 1, 2, or 3 reps before failure, again, to keep the quality as high as possible. Exercise number 3 in circuit 1 is going to be a stability ball dead bug. Basically increasing the challenge of the wall marching exercise that Lauren showed in the previous video and making it into a stability ball dead bug. What you're going to do is you're going to be laying down on your back with the ball between your arms and your knees. And now, instead of lowering just your legs down, you're going to lower down opposite arm and leg. The combination of now both levers lowering down at the same time is going to provide a really strong challenge for your core. Exercise number 2 in circuit 1 is going to be a staggered stance to kettlebell deadlift. This exercise technically falls under the single leg category. While it's not truly single leg, we do like it as an in-between progression to a single leg deadlift. With single leg exercises, what you want to think about is that there's 2 categories. We're thinking about a single leg hip dominant and a single leg knee dominant. A single leg hip dominant movement is where the knees are fixed at a slightly bent angle and your hips do most of the work, whereas a single leg knee dominant exercise, the knee joint takes care of most of the movement. And we'll talk about single leg knee dominant on day B. With the staggered stance double kettlebell deadlift, what you're going to do is you're going to set up with a couple kettlebells on either side of your foot. And let's say your left foot is your stance foot. You're going to keep that foot down, and your right toes are going to be directly in line with your left heel. And from there, you're going to use that right foot as more of a kickstand. There's not going to be too much weight on that foot. And from there, you're going to use your left leg as your main stance leg. So you're going to bend your left knee a little bit, about 10, 20 degrees or so. And then from there, really sit your hips back as you allow your torso to lean forward. And from there, pick up the bells. Eventually, as you get more proficient and your balance improves, you can raise that right leg up into more of a traditional single leg deadlift. Exercise number 2 in circuit number 2 is going to be push-ups. And they're going to be either with feet elevated or hands elevated on 2 medicine balls. It's going to be the same as the push-ups Lauren described in the previous video, except this time we're going to increase the difficulty by either raising the legs or increasing the stability demand in the arms. And exercise number 3 in circuit 3 is going to be a suitcase carry. So while a side plank is going to be more of a static core exercise for your obliques and your side muscles, what's going to end up happening for a suitcase carry is going to be more of a dynamic movement. So we're going to grab a kettlebell, we're going to deadlift it up, and from there we're going to walk with good posture slowly straight ahead. And then from there you're going to turn around, switch hands, and come all the way back. Your goal is to not let the kettlebell let you bend to one side, but really stay active, and it's going to be challenging to your side and your core muscles in a more dynamic fashion. So that's the end of day A. Now we're going to move on to day B. Exercise 1 in circuit 1 of day B is going to be a sumo deadlift. So we're kicking things up a notch from a standard kettlebell deadlift, and we're going to move our legs a little bit further apart for the sumo deadlift. Again, just like the back squat, it's going to be a lot more technically challenging than a kettlebell deadlift, so we want the repetitions low, more in the 5 repetition range. We'd like you to start off at a weight that's more like a 7 out of 10 in terms of RPE, your rate of perceived exertion. So really go by feel here. Perform sets of 5, and over time, each week, do your best to try to increase 5 to 10 pounds or so. If you start off like most people, too high, too close to your limit, what's gonna end up happening is you end up plateauing, you end up getting stuck at a certain level. You need to take a step back in order to take progressive steps forward. Exercise number 2 in circuit 2 is gonna be a double dumbbell bench press. For now, we're taking you away from the floor and putting you on the bench. The floor really stopped your elbow from going too far, so that limited your range of motion a little bit. Now we want to kick things up a notch by putting you up on the bench, which frees up your arm to move through a much more greater range of motion. We're also adding a second dumbbell to make it a little bit more challenging. Exercise number 3 in circuit 1 is going to be a stability ball plank. So we're making the traditional front plank just a little bit tougher by adding an element of instability. All the same rules apply as your normal front plank though, just put your elbows on the ball. You really want to strive to keep your elbows directly underneath your shoulders. The closer your elbows get towards your midsection, the easier the exercise becomes and the less efficient it becomes as well. Alright, moving on to circuit 2. Exercise 1 in circuit 2 is going to be a rear foot elevated split squat. Last time Lauren had you doing a normal split squat variation. This time we're going to put your back leg up onto an elevated surface, whether it's a bench or a single leg squat stand, and from there you're going to perform your normal split squat. In the beginning, what we really like to see is a 90-degree angle between your knee and your shin. It puts you in a better position to push directly into the floor, and also distributes the stress a lot more equally. Over time, if you get more advanced, you might want to change the angle around a little bit. For example, if you push your knee forward a little bit more, you might get a little bit more quad. If you keep your knee back a little more, you might get a little bit more hip action. But in the beginning, do your best to stick with that 90-degree angle and get proficient there. Exercise 2 in circuit 2 is going to be a 3-point row. Last time, Lauren had you do a single arm bench supported row. This time, we're going to remove one base of support and actually place just your hand on the bench. Both feet are going to be on the floor, and those are the 3 points of contact, hence the 3-point row. From there, you're going to pull that dumbbell by pulling your elbow back just past your body. You don't want to go so far that you end up rolling your shoulder forward, but get your elbow just barely past your body and really think about pulling your shoulder blade back. Now finally, exercise 3 in circuit 2 is going to be a standing kettlebell press. And this can be a kettlebell press, it can be a barbell press, or a dumbbell press. You just want to stand tall and do your best to press the bell directly over your head without arching at the lower back. And you're going to perform anywhere from 5 to 8 repetitions or so on each side. And so you'll notice with this workout, there's a lot of different patterns that we're covering. Again, we're covering squat, hinge, push, pull, single leg, and core. And there's also a lot of balance. There's single leg exercises, but there's also single leg exercises that are more knee dominant, single leg exercises that are more hip dominant. And finally, in terms of pushing and pulling movements, we're not only thinking about just horizontal pushing and pulling, but also vertical pressing and vertical pulling. People always ask us whenever we post an exercise, what muscle does this work? And for us, we're thinking about things in more of a holistic standpoint. If we incorporate all the major movement patterns that you're going to be experiencing in everyday life, then that means all the muscles that you need to work are going to be worked. And it also means that you're going to be developing your body in a much more functional, athletic manner instead of targeting things from a purely aesthetic standpoint. So if you're a little bit more intermediate or advanced, do your best to keep your quality high. Really think about patterns over muscle parts and really do your best to stay as consistent as possible. I hope this video helped you out. If it did, please hit that little thumbs up icon below. Subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, peace, love, and muscles.